on and on and on and on and on again. And we don't have no type of powers or control to end it. But let me get on the wrestling aspect. Welcome to Wrestling with Racism, where we wrestle with racism every single day of our lives. And as I stated before, SummerSlam is coming up. SummerSlam is coming up this Sunday. I think today Wednesday. Yeah, Dynamite will be on in a couple hours. And I'm don't watch AEW at all. AEW have no interest for me. And as I stated before, I'm not watching WWE SummerSlam. I will not be watching Friday Night SmackDown, nor will I watch Monday Night Raw until I see some tangibles for Black Americans in AEW and WWE. I would never. I wouldn't watch it. I'm keeping tabs on my people, but they don't even have nothing interesting going on in their white or Mexican or Japanese storylines that they got going on right now. The WWE is just not hot to me right now. It's just not. The star power is not there. And the Black Americans specifically are not there. But I'll get on that in a second. Let's start with AEW Dynamite. And part of the topic of this, I know a lot of people were wondering what meant by Tony Khan Black Toys. Well, last week I did a topic on the fact that Black American wrestling fans are starting to wake up and recognize and realize that Triple H is indeed a white supremacist, an anti black white supremacist. They're starting to notice that these foundational Black American wrestlers, which once again, for reference, foundational Black American is a person, a Black person whose lineage goes back in America, whose lineage in America leads back to slavery. You're a foundation of this country. So I'm not talking about a Nigerian like Apollo Crews. I'm not talking about a Ghanaian like Kofi Kingston. I'm not talking about a Jamaican like Big E or Jade Cargill. I'm not talking about a dark skinned Hispanic Panamanian like Bobby Lashley. I'm talking about a foundational Black American, a Black American whose lineage has been in America leading up to slavery. We have been on this soil, we have been on this land longer than most other ethnicities, including the whites. But that's what I mean when I say foundational Black American. Those are the people that represent me. And when you look at the WWE, the ones that are being featured consistently, whether correctly or not, on the women's side are Bianca Belair and Naomi. I was about to say Trinity, but Naomi. And the for the men, it is Montez Ford and on Raw is Earth, and that's I think he's been featured, consistently in matches lately. So you know, I'm looking at two males on one side, two males on the other side, and two foundational Black American females. There's no foundational Black American woman wrestling on WWE Raw. Now everybody sit up here and tell me, hey, NXT. Trick Williams was the NXT champion, and he had a very short championship reign. And Javon Evans, and both of them are doing well. I enjoy what they are doing. I enjoy what they have been doing, and I want them to keep that momentum up. But will the WWE keep that momentum up? That's the question. Because it seems that WWE can hand foundational Black Americans minor pieces of success. And like I said, we are supposed to hold on to that shit for a lifetime. So if Trick Williams was the NXT champion, according to white folk, we should hold on to that for a lifetime. If Trick Williams never advanced anywhere else in his career, we should be able to hold on to that for a lifetime. White folk got up in arms because they were saying things like, "Oh, Triple H, how's he a racist? He developed Keith Lee, and he developed Velveteen Dream, and he developed, some other black person." And I asked, where are all these people now? And they are literally nowhere to be found. So miss me with that bull jive. Okay, because in 2021, we had the Hurt Business, including the dark skinned Hispanic Bobby Lashley, who is WWE champion. You had Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin as tag team champions, even though they didn't do shit with them as tag team champions. You had the Nigerian, Apollo Crews, as the U.S. champion. You had Big E, the Jamaican, as the Intercontinental champion, and then he eventually became WWE champion the same year, beating Bobby Lashley. It seemed, oh, and then Bianca Belair was the women's champion. I mean, I remember the first hour of Raw every week would be black with multiple people, or I'll say dark with multiple people. But that quickly faded away. It quickly faded away, and it low key faded away after Bobby Lashley won the WWE Championship. I mean, Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin lost the titles after having an uneventful championship reign. They didn't do shit with them. That's why it was uneventful. And Bianca held on to her belt for a year, with no other foundational Black American competition. All of her competition was white and Mexican and Japanese. So how did her Bianca Belair winning the WWE Women's Championship elevate Black American women? It didn't, because they want us to look at one or two and be satisfied and content, when in actuality we shouldn't be satisfied and content. I often ask this question. Often I ask, how would white folk feel if 90% of the WWE and AEW roster wasn't white? How far would white folk go if 90% of professional wrestlers weren't being featured in prominent positions, weren't white? White folk sit up here and talk about Swerve Strickland being the AEW champion. Yet he's the only foundational Black American wrestling on the program every week that's not a jobber. So how would white folk feel if Bryan Danielson was the AEW champion, but you put out maybe one or two other white people that's constantly losing, and then you don't feature any other match featuring a white? You feature a majority black American, then you sprinkle some Africans over here, then you sprinkle some Caribbeans over here, and then you sprinkle some Hispanics over here, and then you sprinkle some Asians over here. How will white folk feel? Like I said, they will start burning crosses. They will start hanging babies. They will start doing the most vicious and vile shit imaginable because that's what white folk do. It's a white supremacist dominated sport. Problem is, black Americans has always loved professional wrestling. And I was talking to people about this not too long ago. They say the NBA is a certain percentage black American. The NFL is a certain percentage black American. And we dominate in those sports. And those are real sports. And I go to professional wrestling and I think about all the sports that we play. Baseball, we excel in that. When we do play hockey, we excel in that. When we do play tennis, we excel in that. When we do play racquetball, we excel in that. When we do play soccer, we excel in that. When we do play football and basketball, obviously we stand out above the rest. Track, field, gymnastics, congratulations, Simone Biles, on winning her eighth gold gold medal for foundational black Americans. I salute you, sister. Peace and blessings to you and your family. And white folk treated her like shit. Just because she smoked weed, she fucking won 8 gold medals for America. But you know what? Y'all don't like her? Fuck it. She did it for black Americans. One more for the good guys. But we dominate in all of these real sports. So when it come down to a scripted sport in which is scripted by white folk, is at the hands of white folk. How is it that we could dominate in so many different sports, yet we can't dominate in a fake scripted sport to where people are eligible to look like actual superheroes? Hulk Hogan, Bruno Sammartino, Stone Cold Steve Austin, John Cena, all great white hypes looked at as actual superheroes. Yet we cannot be viewed or we cannot be presented, the same way. All it takes is a stroke of a pen. Like I said, wrestling is fake. All you pretty much got to do is just have stamina, strength, and a little bit of speed. You don't even need a lot of speed, no matter what you do. Wrestling is slower than a lot of people think. You may think that you're seeing these people going 100 miles an hour, but it's an actual art, and it's actually slow paced. You have to be careful when you're dealing with 150-pound plus men. And when I say 150-pound plus, I mean this shit, you got men going up to 500-600 pounds. So you have to take your time. And as long as you are physically fit and conditioned and you have move sets, you know how to do this, and another, whatever, little tangibles, and Black Americans are the most entertaining people in the world, and we are the most athletic people in the world. We should be dominating this fake, scripted sport. But again, there is a system in place, and that system is called white supremacy and anti-blackness. And white fragility, excuse me, fragility is preventing white folk that runs the show to presenting foundational Black Americans as the superior beings that we are. It should be no excuses. Like people saying, oh, name names, do this, do this. They had the ability to do because they wouldn't even allow them to get through the door. And one of the main people that stopped them was your buddy, Triple H. Triple H had high power. Triple H's opinion was valued. So, to put all of this together, in response to what I was saying about black wrestlers being Tony Khan's toy, as I said last week, a lot of people, it was a surge of people that noticed that Triple H is a anti-black white supremacist. And so that grew online. And so what did Tony Khan do? What was Tony Khan's response to this? Mind you, Tony Khan got a foundational Black American world champion and no other foundational Black American, non-mixed foundational Black American wrestling on his program weekly, consistently, and utilized correctly. They are jobbers, they are losing. So what did Tony Khan choose to do to take advantage of this publicity? Now y'all are about to get an understanding as to how foundational Black Americans are toys to Tony Khan. Let me pull this up real quick. Black excellence all over AEW and Ring of Honor. You love to see it. This is what KXNGAO, whatever fuck, I don't know, some weird shit. But this is the person that put this down. And in the pictures, you got Swerve Strickland, who was the AEW World Champion. You got Mercedes Monet, who is part foundational Black American and part white, as is well known. Her foundational Black American father ran off on them, didn't raise her. The white mother raised her in white society. So she grew up as a white girl, therefore she is white. She's not even married to a foundational Black American man. She has completely distanced herself from foundational Black Americans, whether it's by choice or not. So y'all not about to put her in this category. She's a white woman. She's the TBS champion. Then you got Willow Nightingale, who is the CMLL champion, which is not a championship in AEW, and it's a championship in some Mexican promotion. A Mexican promotion in which foundational Black Americans are not being featured in. There are more Mexicans wrestling in America right now on mainstream television than there are actual foundational Black Americans in American promotions. And Mexicans got many promotions in Mexico. And I can't name any, but I'm pretty sure that anybody that can, if there are any, can only name less than a handful of foundational Black Americans that are wrestling in these Hispanic promotions. So, that's a problem within itself, but of course, I'm racist for noticing that. But anyway, Willow Nightingale is the CMLL women's champion, and this woman, and I like Willow. Hey, she big, she fluffy, she look like she losing weight. You know, she got a nice ass too. It's pretty. She seemed like she gonna get annoying though. Like she just like to smother motherfuckers though. I don't like big girls. Like, you know, I just cause it's like you gotta fight them bitches. But I'm not about to go there right now. I just got finished watching Harlem Nights a couple of weeks ago, so that kind of brought me back. But big bitches like that, you do have to fight. And she seemed annoying and shit, so you don't want to stay away from that. But she is Guyanese and white. So I don't know where y'all getting this foundational black American thing from with this woman. That's like Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris is an Asian and a Jamaican. And there's not even a guarantee that she's black Jamaican. They hid her father well. But her mother is clearly an Indian. And right now she's parading herself around, as she has been over the last couple of years, as a black American woman, just because she possibly looked like your auntie. Cause she looked like my auntie, she act like my auntie. I hope my auntie never hear this, but my auntie was a bitch, and I love her. Don't get me wrong, I love her. It's one of them aunties you ain't got no choice but to tolerate. She ain't never did shit to me. She ain't never did shit wrong to me. She stayed up to date on the Christmases and shit, and she even still get my children, presents and stuff like that. But she is a bitch, and everybody know that. You And that's what Kamala Harris looked like. Difference is, my auntie is a foundational Black American woman. You know, her roots is down in Georgia, all through Georgia and Alabama, and it go generation upon generation. It goes century upon century upon century. We were here. Indians weren't. Excuse me. Indians weren't. Jamaicans weren't. Love y'all. At least the Jamaicans. Black power. But y'all still, we not the same. I'll be damned if I drink some goddamn peanut juice. And I'm not getting my head dreaded either. It's hard to tell who the fuck is who now with that shit. For real. But let me get back on point. Iguananese and white, and a damn sure white, don't represent me. So Willow Nightingale, y'all can stop trying to call this woman what I'm specifically talking about. Like, foundational Black Americans is what represents me. I don't know a Guyanese person. When I walk outside and say hello to my neighbors, or I go, get some tea, or, you know, go get some breakfast from here and head out to my morning commute, I don't see no Guyanese people where I'm at. I've traveled to multiple states in this country, and I have never seen a Guyanese person that I know of. But I've never seen them. I don't know shit about the Guyanese. I know more about the Jamaican culture than I know about the Guyanese culture, but I'm still not Jamaican. I like hey, do y'all. But this bitch is not me. So I'm gonna tell y'all for the last time. Willow Nightingale is not included in this conversation. Mercedes Monet is not included in this conversation. That is a white woman. And if you know anything about the history of white women, they are the most deceitful people in the world. They are the most deadly species in the fucking world. They are. And they are the most protected in the world. They may want to fuck you, but technically that's all they want. Either way it go, good meanings behind the white bitches or not, they still don't represent me. Let me move on. I like how they put these three at the bottom too. Red Velvet is a Colombian woman. Her father is a boxer. Let me see who this guy is. He was a famous boxer back in the day. He was a famous boxer back in the day, and he is Colombian. I'm looking at this damn picture now. Since I started delineating people, I could see, I could see certain features. It's hard to explain, but there's certain features around eyes and mouths and teeth, and just certain features that certain groups of people just have the same. Like those Indian people got them. A lot of them Indian people got them dots on their fucking head, like that shit. You an Indian. You ain't never seen a fucking African with a goddamn dot on his damn head. But you've seen some dark. They get dark as hell too. Like they get charcoal dark. That shit look weird as hell on skin. It's like they rub their skin with charcoal, but it's not charcoal. It's they skin. All right, my bad. Gotta read this shit in Spanish. She is the daughter of Colombian flyweight block boxing champion Prudенcio Cardona. Hold on, what the fuck, Siri? How you say this name? Prudencio Cardona. I was close enough. See, when I got a fucking stutter to say your goddamn name or squinch my eyes and shit just to say your name, we are not the fucking same, bitch. You don't represent foundational Black American. I'm sorry, I don't know Colombians, and I'm not trying to get mixed up in Colombian people shit anyway. Now I'm cool on that. I'm cool on that. So Colombians don't represent me. Funny, Colombians is all up in the drug game and shit, but when it come down to black people, y'all talk about, black people and their problems and shit. Y'all don't bring up y'all crimes. Y'all don't bring up no other ethnicities. Just niggers do this. You're 13% of the country, but y'all don't bring up other people's crimes, and they tend to distance themselves from us. So. We're not the niggers that they're talking about. We Colombians, we don't know. We are not the same. Y'all pick and choose when y'all want. Everybody pick and choose when they want to be the same. We got to cut that shit. Foundational Black Americans, I need y'all to cut that shit. Realize that these people are not our friends, honestly. And like they come over here and they got as fucked up as shit may be for certain people in America. We know our pains, we know our struggles, whatever we have had or do have or may have face in the future and shit. We've overcome it or know how to overcome and we know how to, survive. But in essence, it may be a lot more than what they have over wherever the fuck they come from. So these people are scraping and scratching and striving to get over here because they are still oppressed where they are, you know. But the benefits in which we actually took the time to fight for. We took the time to put our family lives on the line. A lot of y'all ancestors died, right? Y'all do know that a lot of foundational Black Americans, a lot of y'all ancestors, beyond the black on black crime, white folk were burning your potential cousins, uncles, aunties, grandparents, parents, cousins. They were skinning them, boiling them, and eating them. Read the book Delectable Negro. It's factual. White folk were doing this. And if you want to be technical, I don't know what everybody think is a long time. It wasn't that long ago. Not only that, but it still continues. Yes, possibly even the eating part. Yes. So why are we still trying to be around the very same people that put us in these conditions and spread it our 13% apart? And when we in close amenities, made it to where we hate each other. I'm going far off the point, so I'm gonna scale it back. But if you know what I'm talking about, then you know what I'm talking about. Basically, to sum that up, we face our own problems on our own. We got to deal with black on black crime, whether we committing it or whether we trying to avoid it. Some of us don't have the powers to fight that shit no more. Back in the day, you could ramble your neighborhood together and get a nigga together. But now everybody constantly moving. It's a new system of white supremacy. Let me stop. Whoa, man. I got to hold another space for that, boy. Y'all about to get me started. But it's still happening. Let me get back to the wrestling aspect of it. A Colombian will not let us represent them in anything. A Colombian will not let us represent them in anything. Rocky Balboa didn't represent white folk. Rocky Balboa represented Italians. Is he racist? So one more thing about Red Velvet, because this is the next point, and this is where I say foundational Black Americans are toys. Now I'm going to get to the point of foundational Black Americans being toys for Tony Khan. Because to go summarize this real quick before I get to the toy part, remember, it sparked with a surge of people noticing that Triple H is an anti-black white supremacist. With Bobby Lashley leaving, with MVP leaving, who MVP is obviously a Hispanic too because he's from, I mean, not a Hispanic or Caribbean because he's from Miami, but I'm doing more research on that. I can't just put everything out right quick, but yes, more than likely he's just a Hispanic. And if you pay attention, you can see it in his face and language. But I'm gonna start making the Black IWC delineators, and then everything gonna be more clear to y'all. When y'all become delineators, then it'll be more clear to y'all how far down in the scale we truly are. Triple H got that heat, so within the same week, Ring of Honor is rolling around, and these matches weren't booked ahead like they are months in advance and shit. They just throw them together. And Red Velvet won the what's this title? Ring of Honor Women's Television Championship. They just out the blue put that on her that week, that day. And then Lee Moriarty, and I've been saying this since I've noticed it. Lee Moriarty, I've never seen him win a match in AEW ever. I've never seen him win a match. He's constantly jobbing every match. They put a big man behind him, Shane Taylor. Shane Taylor, a beast. Shane Taylor is a really great wrestler. And he was dominating in Ring of Honor and on the Indies. And it was good to see him get ready to be presented on TV. And they made him a fucking jobber. And it wasn't by no effort. It wasn't because of the lack of effort behind him. If you go back and watch Shane Taylor matches, he could be a fucking beast. I believe that he was limited in the ring, time constraints, whatever, you know how it is, but he showcased himself well every single time, even against Will Ospreay. And I think, that was random right there, but then again, he's a jobber in there, right? Black Americans are jobbers in AEW. And they make him lose every single time. And then they made him look like a punk by losing to fucking Orange Cassidy. They make black people look weak. And then they put these two together, two losers who got physical skill. Lee Moriarty is in better shape than most people in AEW. And Shane Taylor is as good as Samoa Joe, if not better. Especially right now. Yeah, I said it. But how would you know if they didn't actually give him the opportunity that he's actually capable of? They don't give him the opportunity. This is how they book them. That's why I say toys. I say puppets, because they could play with them at any time they want. Now we gonna keep you niggers on here. You can wrestle here on AEW Dark. You can wrestle here on AEW Collision. You can wrestle here on AEW. What's that fucking show called? Rampage. Oh, that's the lowest of the low right there, right? But they can't wrestle on Dynamite, which is AEW's primary program, and they losing every single match. Do they got them on stupid gimmick? No. They gimmick is cool. It's over. Whether they heels or faces is getting over. They're doing their job. If it come off lame, that's how they write it. Like I said, for black Americans to be the most entertaining people in the world and the most athletic people in the world, in essence, black wrestlers can only do what they're booked to do, what was written to them, what was told to them. On the indies, you know, you can kind of do whatever you want. But a lot of people do still talk they shit out and they know what they're going to do. Some people know step by step. Some people, they could, work it out. But, you know, when you on TV, that's different. You're working under stricter time constraints. You have to, especially on live TV. And stories are being told to move on to the next, to move forward with the program. So you do have to do exactly what they tell you to do. Vince McMahon said it in Beyond the Mat. We don't make wrestling, we make movies. This is what he said. And wrestling fake as hell. They talk it out and they try to be as safe as possible. And if you get up to that level, you know what you're doing. I don't care about the botch, how many botches somebody will do this, that, and the other. If you make it to that level, you got something in you. You got something in you. Nobody completely suck. And I'm talking about in the WWE. AEW just fucking take anybody. But if you make it to that level, you got something in you, or they could turn you into whatever they want to. So like I said, in essence, it's not the wrestling, it's the booking. So we talk about the system of white supremacy and anti-blackness. How many foundational black Americans got a position of power in the WWE? Now, let's start on a small scale. This ain't no real power, but they are doing what you say. You're the team leaders, the creative. How many foundational black Americans are writing this stuff? How many foundational black Americans are writing this stuff? Let's move on to the next level. Within your answer, you will find racism. I'm gonna let you all. That's going to be the trivia question of the day. Some random shit. I'm gonna just do some random trivias. If you get it right, you get $1. But how many foundational black Americans? I'm gonna step it up a little bit. That are constructing the matches. Now, I want y'all to understand a producer's Position. If you notice, producers or agents or whatever they want to call them, and once again, producers. Vince McMahon call them fucking producers. They make movies. They are the ones that's guiding these people to what they're going to do, how they're going to construct the match. This is going to be the finish. This is going to be the time. This is the type of heat I want you to get. This is what type of shit I want you to get. You got to make sure that you do this move. You got to make sure that you get this move over. You got to make sure that do this. You got to make sure that you do that. That's what a producer job is. That's how fake wrestling is. All the wrestlers got to do is just I pick things up and I put them down. In essence, and I'm not horn wrestling. I love wrestling. It's a great sport, but it sucks right now. I can't get into it, so I don't watch it. And I just try to look out for my black wrestlers. I might catch you in on some shit. Like I said, I'm not a racist. I mean, shit. Like I said, AJ Styles, one of my favorite wrestlers of all times. What the fuck? You don't think I'll check in and see what the hell AJ Styles doing and shit? Well, who the fuck y'all think y'all is? I love Chris Benoit. That's my favorite wrestler of all time. Stone Cold Steve Austin may be a racist, but that's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. So I can't knock what the fuck he did. You understand what I'm saying? I know Donald Trump is a racist, but I know what he can do. Get rid of these fucking illegals. Y'all about to make me get off of some other shit right now. These illegals gotta go. I'm telling you, if they ain't crept up in your town, they gonna be there soon enough. But what the fuck was I about to say? La, 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 la. You know, white. I'm not racist. I love wrestling. At the end of the day, but see, that's the thing. I can name 100 wrestlers that I got appreciation for. I respect their work. I could name hundreds of them. I've told hundreds of them, and majority of them is white. I'm a foundational black American. I got a handful of black people. Now, like I said, notice these hundreds of wrestlers. I seen you here, I seen you here, I seen you here, I seen you here, I worked with you there, worked with you there, and I've been able to tell these whites. But the black American wrestlers were very few and far in between. That's an issue. It's like golf. They took a hold of golf, white folk took a hold of golf and uh, took it out our neighborhoods and shit. Made it to where that couldn't even be an interest to us. We gotta step out, and then we gotta, have some money for the fucking shit for real. Like, but just to make it a casual thing, it's not available to us all the time in a lot of areas, a lot of different areas. So, I mean, it's a travel. It's always accessible somewhere. But literally for a child to gain interest, for it to be literally down the street. You know what I'm saying? 10 minutes away, 20 minutes away. It's not accessible. I had to make them integrate soccer in certain areas over in this shit. Hockey, they got a hold of hockey. You know, black American kids, I believe they would love to play hockey. Naturally, it's not even a thought in our fucking head. That's white supremacy. But they got a hold of it, but they couldn't get a hold of professional wrestling because we snuck in and we like to see white folk get beat up. You know what I'm saying? Like, finally, shit. And they beat the shit out of each other, and this is actually pretty damn good. Then you get wrestlers like Bobo Brazil to come through and be like, oh my God. And Bobo Brazil and Ernie Ladd, two big warriors. And we can name many, certain people can name many foundational black American wrestlers, less than 10, but many more, I should say, in the 70s, in the mid 60s, before then. But what was on top, which is what I'm talking about right now, because the reason you don't know no other people is because these people weren't on top. The only two people that was on top that dominated 2 decades that were black Americans were Ernie Ladd and damn, see, oh shit, I don't know how the hell his name just popped from my head that damn quick. I just said his name, but y'all know who I'm talking about. So then you move on to the 80s, and then everybody else is just funny little gimmick characters and shit. You got Birdman that made it to the WWF for fame. He got over with his damn bird, Coco Beware. You know what I'm saying? Damn, I feel Bobo Brazil. I don't know why the fuck his name slipped my fucking head. Bobo Brazil was my granddaddy's favorite wrestler. But anyway, fucking and then Junkyard Dog, like he was a fucking slave. He had a fucking chain around his neck. He was a fucking animal. They put a fucking chain around his neck and he came around twirling that bitch around and shit, talking goddamn gibberish and shit. And yeah, that shit was cool to us, especially, a lot of us were still a lot of Southerners at that time. Even though a lot of us could have been up north, we were still new to from migrating down to the South. So it was naturally in our groups to feel some type of connection through that shit. And that was him. He portrayed himself on TV. But for him portraying himself on TV, we looked at that as us. Yo, believe this or not, white folk looked at Junkyard Dog as a dog. He looked at Junkyard Dog as a joke. White folk looked at Junkyard Dog as a nigger. Now, if you was to ask Junkyard Dog if he was still living, rest in peace. If you was to ask him today, he'd tell you, yeah, I believe you. Yeah, I mean, yeah, but you correct. He would tell you. Riding through these towns, they could aim to kill you. You know, they may not have been restricted from staying in hotels during the 80s and shit, but yeah, certain areas they will kill your ass. They don't give a fuck who you is. You not nationally known to every fucking body. You do got to remember that wrestling is still a small bubble. So if he go to a hotel or something, they can blow his fucking head off. And y'all don't give a fuck about that because he entertained you by being a fucking dog and with a fucking leash around his neck. And then rumbling around like some country bumpkin, and y'all take that shit as a joke. Y'all take that shit as a joke. Black Americans are jokes to y'all. They booked Slick as the way that they booked Slick. And we got into it because we know a nigga like Slick. But white folk view it as every black person is like Slick. Don't sit up here and fake like they don't. And we not about to sit up here and try to pick and snake and pick and choose which it is because a white person is nice to you at your job, or you may go, you may hang out with these white folk here, this, that, and the day. White folk could get you fucked up. And it pulls you away from your people. Generally, when you have white friends, I've never been to a party. I've been to white parties and I've been to black parties. And I've never been to a 50% party. By nature, we don't mix. You don't see fucking flies flying with bees. You don't see pigeons flying with bluebirds. You don't see horses fucking cows. Naturally, they won't even integrate their children. Animals that they call black people won't integrate their children. A deer won't be by itself by itself for a lifetime and fuck a goddamn bear for a lifetime. They just never fuck nothing. And the bear. They'll probably kill each other. One, before they even attempt to fuck each other. We talking about nature. But y'all, I'm not about to veer off again. Let me get back on point though. Damn, I drove way the hell off. But fucking Lee Moriarty have been losing, and then they suddenly put the belt on this guy. They suddenly put the belt on him. And everybody is out here gloating and losing their mind. Everybody is out here gloating and losing their mind about this. So I'm gonna move on to the last person, and that is Athena, who is the AEW. I'm sorry, who is the Ring of Honor Women's Champion, and she have been the Ring of Honor champion, Women's Champion for. Damn, I thought I saved that shit. Hold on. Athena Samoa Joe. She the second longest reigning I mean, I keep saying AEW. She the second longest reigning Ring of Honor title holder. Trying to see how long it is. And I'm gonna tell you the problem with that, which I'm pretty sure black people could feel this problem. Because once again, when you talk about victories with no victories, it's a victory that you could talk about, but a victory that we can't see. It says Athena, as of today, has reached 1,000 days as the Ring of Honor Women's World Champion. I'm sorry, 600 days. Currently, the second longest reigning of any kind of Ring of Honor history, Athena is only 46 days away to break Samoa Joe legendary record. One, that shows you how much of a disappointment that Tony Khan is, because he moving too damn fast. Two, how many times and mind you, Athena was signed with AEW. She wasn't signed with Ring of Honor. She was signed with AEW. She came in and she was feuding with Jade Cargill. Actually, it wasn't a feud. I remember this precisely because I had some people that was talking about some goddamn oh, she just came in and she is feuding with Jade Cargill and she got Stokely Carmichael. And I said, okay, well, let's see how they handle it. And then they had them just going back and forth on the mic for like 3 months. Like, that's it. They didn't wrestle each other or nothing. And then they wrestled each other after 3 months of just talking shit with each other. They didn't have no multi matches and none of that shit. They had a little bow wow involved and shit. It was just some weird, odd shit. Like, if y'all don't remember this shit, I remember it because it was stupid. Because where the fuck did they get a little bow wow from? That's what I want to know. How the fuck did. Anyway, and they used him. And I believe that he left that shit because he was in the storyline. And I think he left that shit because he like, man, they racist than the motherfucker. There is no black production in AEW for foundational black Americans. Who's succeeding in AEW as a foundational black American under Swerve Strickland? And I'm not taking nothing away from Swerve Strickland. Trust me, I'm not. But it seems like that championship is the international title or some shit like that. But here's the thing about that. I've never felt like anybody held that title like a world title. AEW doesn't have any credibility. And it's not a world title because how many countries on how many continents has the AEW World Championship? We could quote the world because some people say world. It's not a world championship to me. If it haven't been defended on at least 5 continents, technically all of them, right? But I don't think the WWE ever been to Africa. But that's something that the WWE gonna have to deal with Africans on. Actually, WWE, I never questioned why the WWE didn't go to Africa. Ever went to Africa? They may have in the '90s or some shit. Just in case somebody want to say something, oh, did they win in '91 or some shit? They may have went one time, but they never went like shit. Probably more than that one time. They never went any country in Africa. The largest goddamn continent in the goddamn world, and they ain't never been. The second one or whatever. But it's not up to me as a foundational Black American to speak for Africa. You see what y'all starting to understand? Let Africa deal with WWE on that. But hey, they got nice. Look, white folk could tell Africa, nigger, look. Now wait a minute, god damn it. We had fucking almost he, and then we got fucking then I guarantee you Kofi Kingston gonna be goddamn and I bet you he gonna be African then. Look, we got Kofi Kingston and shit. But check white folk out though. Here go white folk though. Oh man, check white folk out. Who the fuck? They gonna say Kamala's fucking African. And look, Kamala from fucking Memphis, Tennessee. That's a foundational Black American. You know, you got fucking so many people cosplaying as us. I have never seen Biggie say that he was Jamaican on WWE television. I never heard him say that. And he trying to play off like a foundational Black American. A lot of people hide their parents just because of certain things. Ricky Starks, your motherfucking ass, boy. I don't know what the fuck you is, but you ain't no goddamn foundational Black American. You look like you Samoan. Nigga, if your great grandma, some people be saying, "Oh, my great great grandma fucking white." I mean black, and so that's why I'm fucking nigga. You ain't get the fuck on. But anyway, there is no progression. As I said earlier, with Bianca Belair winning the WWE Women's Championship, there was no progression for foundational Black Americans. Same thing in AEW with Swerve Strickland winning the AEW Championship. There is no progression for foundational Black American. That's an ongoing problem when there are some starving brothers out here. And the WWE go out of their way to pick the best. It's their duty. It's not mine to point these people out. They got scouts going around the world, and they overlooking Black Americans who turn out to be better than most of these fucking whites, even when they do perform. What can fucking Montez Ford? What can't Montez Ford or Angelo Dawkins individually do that Cody Rhodes isn't doing right now? I'm gonna take you a step further, and I want everybody to shut the fuck up. What the hell is Scott Armstrong? What can't he do? Brad Armstrong, excuse me, Brad Armstrong, and that's another white. But I can tell you, if you go back and watch some Brad Armstrong matches, those gonna be some of the best matches that you ever watched. Just pure. And he was a jobber too. But he could get in there and tumble with the best of them. He was a 20, 30, 45-minute jobber. He'd get in there and mix it up with anybody. Go watch some of his matches. But he was much greater than Cody Rhodes. It's so many wrestlers that were greater than Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes is surpassing Chris Benoit on a title reign, and Chris Benoit is greater than Cody Rhodes has ever been. And they were mixing the championship. Hello, what up? What's up? They were mixing. What the hell did I do? I'm sorry, I'm trying to find this real quick. Okay, I'm sorry. They were my bad. I had to send this message, but they were mixing the championships around at this time a lot. Now the WWE want to hold it long term. But throughout the mix, they couldn't find their way to give it to Chris Benoit throughout 2000 when he was really a fucking monster. Or 2001, he kind of was on the way to elevating it, and then they did put him in championship matches, but he got hurt, and that kind of fucked him up. But when he came back, like a year later or some shit, he came back and he didn't even fucking lose a step. He could have been a champion, maybe not long term, like the Rock wasn't long term. Stone Cold never held the belt for like more than a month or two or some shit like that. Triple H, they all had short reigns during that time and shit. Chris Benoit could have got in there a couple of times. He should have, cause he better than people like Cody Rhodes. But everybody so much on all these wrestlers' penises, and they not actually really shit. Two people like Brad Armstrong, or two people like Chris Benoit, Brian Pillman, Two Cold Scorpio. And this is why I made Two Cold Scorpio the wrestler of the week last week. One thing about Two Cold Scorpios, he do not get the credit for being an innovator. Before these Mexicans and shit was coming to America, flying all around, just a couple of years before Rey Mysterio and Juventud Guerrera and Ultimo Dragon and all them other motherfucking Mexicans and all that shit came over here. See, this is what I'm talking about. The system of white supremacy used these Mexicans to undermine black Americans, right? When they Two Cold Scorpio was flying all around doing all the shit that you could see a Will Ospreay do, or Okada, or whoever fucking Ricochet, just flying all over the fucking place. All these Mexicans that's doing all that shit. But the thing about Two Cold Scorpio was, one, he was in greater shape. He was a big 220-pound solid muscled up motherfucker, big motherfucker, big legs, all that shit. But he was like floating like Michael Jackson doing the moonwalk. I swear to God, if y'all go back and watch Two Cold Scorpio, he was innovating all that shit. Y'all respect the Mexican Rey Mysterio for and Juventud Guerrero for, which it moved over to whites. I want y'all to see the system of white supremacy, because they utilized those Japanese people and made a cruiserweight division, and then they tried to bring it over to the Billy Kidmans and the Disco Infernos and all the motherfucking white motherfuckers that held the cruiserweight titles and shit. Kind of watered the shit down just a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Spike Dudley and all that shit. Even though Spike was the shit. I done seen Spike come through on them. Y'all got to go back and be like old school shit. This shit today ain't shit. They low key making all this shit look like trash. So they really fucking up with a lot of people, and a lot of people getting hurt as a result. But they are purposely making the black Americans on a lower scale. In essence of me comparing Cody Rhodes to what some would think is the lowest form of people, That means that anybody could be the WWE champion. Montez Ford could get up in the morning with his wife, who is the WWE champion. He's doing it every fucking day now. You know he could perform in the ring. Angelo Dawkins could do the same shit. You know they could perform in the ring. They could do the same fucking moves that Cody Rhodes could do. But what's the problem? It's got to be the color of the skin. What's the problem? That y'all not developing any foundational black Americans and incorporating them. If this is an American company, then black Americans, y'all say that this is an equal country, and I can't see that when it come across professional wrestlers, when I know that there are black American wrestlers out there that you people could scout and you people could pick. And you can present them to do anything that you want because one, they are entertaining, and two, they got the physical capabilities to do it. I told y'all I was taking it to the producers. They are the ones that construct what these writers want to get across. Wrestling is a fucking business. On the indies, they just do whatever the fuck they want. AEW, they just do wherever the fuck they want to get to wherever they want to be or whatever, whatever, whatever. We talking about a machine. So we talking about the people that's presenting Hulk Hogan as a god. You understand what I'm saying? They presenting Dusty Rhodes as, and then we look at that Cody Rhodes. All right, well, you know what? I am gonna dissect Cody Rhodes while we at it. I'm gonna step off topic a little bit and dissect Cody Rhodes. I'm gonna remember to get back around it. But a lot of people say that Cody Rhodes is not a racist white supremacist. First of all, Dusty Rhodes was his fucking daddy. All right? In order for people to continue to make money and all that shit, a lot of people just gonna keep their mouth shut. Coco Beware not gonna tell you how fucking racist Dusty Rhodes was. All right? People like Ron Simmons and fucking what the hell is his name? We go they Butch Reed and all them, they probably gonna send, and Tony Atlas and shit, they probably gonna send fucking subtle hints or some shit like that. And if you notice about bigger black people, notice I said black people either is buffoonish or they are those big muscular um men that just didn't win fucking matches. But it wasn't about championships that got them love and admiration. They got over by how they beat those jobbers. You can actually, if you go back and watch those matches, it was a story being told. These are big, powerful men. Difference is how people could have got into it more then. They weren't seeing it as frequently as it are, as you people do today. If you watching wrestling 7 days a week and you judging and dissecting every fucking match, then of course everything is gonna fucking suck. But let me get back on Cody Rhodes and Dusty Rhodes racist ass. You know, if white folk, if a certain white gonna sit up here and tell you that Ole Anderson was racist, and then you got another, I mean not white, but you know, a bunch of people could tell you that Ole Anderson, oh yeah, a bunch of whites did say that Ole Anderson was racist. And you know, he was cool and tight with Ric Flair and shit for a while. You know, I don't even think they ever really truly fell out. And if they did, you know, wrestling, you always come back. You know what I'm saying? They, you know, when there's money to be made, then you know when to put your shit together. You know, hustler is a hustler. And white folk can stay on code and get their fucking bread. So I don't give a fuck. Ric Flair was racist too. And if you got a couple people saying that and he hanging with Ole and they some Georgia and Minnesota boys and shit, then motherfucking yeah, they motherfucking racist. All that shit. They don't fuck with black people. And these are people who became people with positions of power. Dusty Rhodes had positions of power. I don't remember, was it Dusty Rhodes or Bill Watts that booked Dusty? I don't know if the one of them booked Ron Simmons to win a title, but y'all talk about Ron Simmons' title reign. The only thing that black people got to hold on to Ron Simmons' title reign is the actual pin itself. Some people may have watched the match, but you probably haven't watched the match no more than once or twice in your life. You go back and you watch the moment. You go back and watch the moment that he pinned, he hit that slam and how crisp it was. It was one of the best power slams ever. It was just like he hit him in thin air, thin magic, black power. And you know the 1, 2, 3, and you only had the one black kid that they put in the vision and shit. I think that was a plant. But you know, that's how we was feeling. That's the first time we probably ever seen it on TV and shit. I mean, not me, I wasn't there, but you know, that's the first thing we could always hang on. And they wanted black people to hang on to that shit. WCW wanted black people to hang on to that shit until Booker T got it at the end of WCW. And Booker T is a man that worked his ass off throughout his entire time. You never seen Booker T slack around. You ain't never say Booker T was a fucking bum in the ring. Ever. And Booker T had greater capabilities at the time of racist Hulk Hogan, who also had creative power. Not once did you say, hey, Book, let's mix it in and do this shit. Even if, you know, Hulk go over and all that other different shit. Come on up here one time. You have been here for what, 10 fucking years? Did Randy Savage go into that? Would have been some type of perfect goddamn feud. But Randy Savage put over a lot of people, right? How many black Americans have they ever put over? Hulk Hogan never even put over Zeus. In today's era, Craig would have beat Debo's ass. And in that era. Ain't nobody fucking playing with no big motherfuckers. But Hulk Hogan low key a pussy. Hulk Hogan is the epitome. Hulk Hogan is the epitome of white supremacy. If you're familiar with Hulk Hogan's career, Hulk Hogan slid through a lot of shit via white supremacy. He never failed. And I'll give you a brief time. Don't worry, I'm going to go back and connect it back to Dusty being racist. Basically, Dusty is racist because he had the power and never put no black people over meaningfully. You know, Ron Simmons' title reign was what, 2 months or some shit, and he lost it and never got it back again. And no other black American ever became an actual contender, a sincere, genuine contender in WCW or the WWF. Meaningful. And the WWF never even had a WWF champion. Foundational Black American WWF champion, or excuse me, or WWE champion. Like I said, Kofi Kingston is a Ghanaian, and Big E is a Jamaican. I'm sorry, but you know, I've been to Florida, and I rode through New York and got out and stretched this shit a little bit, and you know, a couple of times, and you know, but I don't know these Caribbeans and all that shit as family or none of that shit. We, you know, hey, how you doing? And, you know, what's up? You know, chill, kick it, smoke, have a drink, whatever, and then go our separate ways. But there's, you know, nothing culturally like there's no, you know, They're not us. They represent Jamaica, and they will if they play in the Olympics, they're playing for Jamaica. They're not playing for America. Of course, Caitlin Clark is not playing for foundational Black Americans, but we're the racists. But we don't have the power to put her on there. We don't have no sustainable power to put her on there. We've never had a foundational Black American president. But let me get back on point. You got all these racist white supremacists that keep spreading power to these whites, and they make Black people look good here or there. They had to make the Godfather into a pimp. They had to make Kamal Mustafa into a pimp. Kamal Mustafa, and oh, let me get back on Hulk Hogan right quick. Yeah, Hulk Hogan, whole ass. Um, Hulk Hogan, whole ass. And I'm not taking nothing away from Hulk. At the time, he was great for what he did, but and then he never like tried to put no foundation, no Black American over at all. Like even in losses, Randy Savage looked great. I don't think Randy Savage ever pinned Hulk Hogan. Even in losses, Hulk Hogan never, you know, made Ric Flair look bad. That's greatness. That's how people get over. That's how Sting got over. Sting didn't win that match, but he fought a hell of a match against Ric Flair. Yet, as many Black Americans, untold Black Americans, and I can vouch for this. I mean, I wish my granddaddy was alive. He told me it was a lot of Black wrestlers. I don't remember their names that he went around and seen at these territories and shit. They strong and big and got agility and got just entertaining, and they not utilized. They not being booked in the sense of these people. And Hulk Hogan never used his position of power to put a Black American over. And when his time was over, when he'd have made all the money that he could make, and he couldn't be he couldn't be a wrestler no more, it became exposed that he was a racist. He don't want his daughter fucking niggers unless he's rich as hell. Other than that, what you fucking some nigger for? That's how he feel internally. He has that right to feel that way. Hulk Hogan has that right to feel that way. But y'all can cancel Kanye West. When Kanye West say something against Black people, you know, we was mad as hell. Slavery is a choice. I wish Trump was my dad. Some other shit that he said, I ain't got the quotes off the top of my head. But the second he said something about the Jew, and I put that in quotation marks, ish, folk, he lost what, $6 billion? Or did he really have it? It's a system of white supremacy and anti-blackness that's been going on in the world. I'm not gonna drift off. Let me skip back to that. Get back to Hulk Hogan. Goddamn. Easy for me to skirt off right quick. But anyway, so going back to Hulk Hogan, okay, cool. White folk brushed that off. Oh, he said that shit like a year ago. Da, 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 da. He don't feel the way. Da, 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 da. It's not that. Black people get punished for anything. When have a white ever been punished for anything? There are disparities in pay within everything. Black Americans haven't been put on. In essence, y'all want to sit up here and talk about Black people's success. I still got to look at the economical standpoint. Black people go out there and bust their ass just as hard as white folk, and they not getting paid as much. I guarantee you, they giving all these white folk $5 million deals in AEW and $5 million deals in WWE and shit, and they not giving Black American dollar. They probably not even hitting $1 million. Y'all got to remember, Swerve Strickland just won the world title. So is he working under his contract? Do he get a bonus? Is he satisfied? If you the world champion and you putting on all these matches and you doing as great as these people is, they should value Swerve Strickland as a $5 million player. If you put the title one world on Swerve Strickland, then fucking pay him like he's a world champion. Y'all say that I'm sitting up here and advocating hate because I'm talking shit about Swerve Strickland championship reign. Is the man being paid like a world champion? Is he being paid like MJF? Is he being paid like Kenny Omega? Is he even being presented like them? How have Swerve Strickland been presented since being world champion? How do y'all like the fact? I've seen a clip of him getting clipped by fucking Staples. They had staple guns and was clipping staples on the motherfucker. I ain't see him bleeding or if they pulled staples out of him or not. I don't know, but they be doing that shit. But it was just like gang, like five of them doing that shit. And white folk probably did that shit for real with fucking torches and goddamn pitchforks and goddamn woodpeckers and throwing rocks and spitting on our fucking potential aunties, grandparents, great grandparents, great great grandparents, aunties, cousins, brothers. I mean, not brothers. However far back, aunties, cousins, and all them motherfuckers. Grandparents and all that shit. Great great grandparents and all that shit. They was doing that shit, and it wasn't that long ago. Y'all gotta understand, when you could do something for white folk, they love you to the max. Michael Jackson, they could look at Michael Jackson as he was a white man himself. Michael Jackson was super spectacular at what he did. But eventually he had to look and sound white. Like, Michael Jackson, had that soul voice. Like, as a kid, like, God damn, God damn. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was like one of the greatest singers of all times as a kid. And then, like, when he got white and shit, he had to sound like Diana, like that white people shit. Like, Michael had to sound white and shit. And do like Earth songs and shit like that. Like, Michael was the shit, but and it's cool. I mean, because that got him the mass appeal to apparently become the richest man in the world. But they told this man that he did not have no type of money on paper when he died. Yet all his white children get the money. None of the black brothers that sacrificed and grinded with this motherfucker to get this motherfucker noticed. And was right along with him, putting it down with him, and they was working. I don't know. I guess there's so much you could do, but you could have spreaded that black wealth, them your brothers, and that black wealth stretch. That's supposed to be generational wealth, but the system of white supremacy worked some way. Michael Jackson is dead. He left his money to those whites, and somehow those whites gave his rights back up to his music back to Sony. And possibly a lot of them catalogs and shit. They giving up a lot of shit. The mama tried to fight them on the shit. Them white kids even fought the mama on that shit. And she probably about to pass in a minute. You know what I'm saying? I ain't saying like right now none of that shit, cause she, but she a strong foundational black American woman. She is sensational. And at least this age she was willing to fight them motherfuckers. See, we don't flee. We don't run from America and go to Jamaica and be like, oh shit, we got to get away from the white man. No, we deal with our shit. We deal with our shit. White folk in the panic on how the world is going right now. And really, technically, a lot of us like, well, what else can we do but roll with the punches? We'll figure it out. Ain't nothing wrong with Flavor Aid. But at the end of the day, we talking about the system of white supremacy. The system of white supremacy drove and anti-blackness, because at the end of the day, Michael Jackson was supposedly a black man. And Michael Jackson was a black man. Michael Jackson handled business for black people. He did. He handled business for black Americans. He did. He did. But it's crazy because Michael Jackson always had to do it on a low key. And he did put a lot of brothers on, to where they could have some stuff off of his stuff. Hopefully they didn't swallow that up too. But it's a dirty game. How can we grow a monopoly on anything if white folks swallow us up and kill us? When we get to a certain level, they know when to take us out. When we start building together, they start burning our shit down. They start figuring out how, they make black Americans criminals. We can't act like the system of white supremacy and anti-blackness isn't in play. If you a true black American, see, I'm never talking to white folk. But I can't stand when you got these white motherfuckers, these black people that sit up here and cape for these white motherfuckers like that's never a possibility. White folk is gonna smile in your face and do whatever the fuck they need to do to get you out of their face. If they gotta handle business with you, then they gonna handle business with you. Shit, I'm not a racist. Shit, if I gotta handle, sometimes I gotta handle business with white folk. Sometimes I just got to. It's just damn inevitable. You think I'm just about to say, oh fuck you, what is that and the other? No, I'm not like that. And I don't feel that way either. But I do have a right to feel a love for my people. My people who don't get so much love from the people that y'all choose to latch us on to black Americans, such as Jamaicans, Haitians, Panamanians like Bobby Lashley. They don't fuck with us if they're here, you know. Ghanaians. Ghanaians look down. They don't give a fuck about us. Nigerians, those Omoses and shit, I mean, in real life, they don't give a fuck about us. They have a job to do. But in real life, overall, they don't give a fuck about foundational black America. Because where do we move a step ahead? Beyond producers, I'll move on to the WWE. What's in the executive office? How many foundational black Americans actually have power in the WWE? How many foundational black Americans can help choose and direct which direction the WWE can go into? Not just that, but Endeavor and TKO Holding Group, the entire thing. Do you include black Americans to be top in your group? You gonna put that person of color, the rock in my face, the Samoan? I'm looking for real tangibles, and everybody should be looking for real tangibles for foundational black Americans in every level of the business. We got to sit up here and be satisfied. When I sit up here and say, oh, WWE don't have no black American referees, and y'all sit up here and talk about Daphne, and that's the only one that you're going to sit up here and point to. She cool. She's great. She's lovely. She does what she does. And it's funny because you get the white girl who really ain't shit. Honestly, in my opinion, maybe it's because she is black. Maybe it's because it's a natural instinct to me. But I think Daphne is much better than Jessica. Is that her name? Little white chick. Always doing edge matches and shit. So, and I think they was fucking, Edge be fucking all them hoes. Ain't white folk nasty. Beth was probably going for that shit. That's probably why he married that bitch. Motherfuckers gonna keep doing what the fuck they do. But it's black Americans, the ones that skirt that don't skirt through nothing. Velveteen Dream didn't have a fucking shot. And the thing about him is he was a and somebody brought Velveteen Dream up to me talking about some, oh, he was pushed under Triple H in NXT, but he's not there. Despite the fact that not a single charge was put against this motherfucker. He was put under high level pressure and still had to go out there and perform. Just like Kobe did. Foundational black Americans do that shit. And then they cut the motherfucker and blackballed them. Black America, white folk got the power to blackball. How many black Americans got the power to blackball? If you want to talk about black American wrestlers, Hulk Hogan got the power to blackball. Triple H, since the 90s, had the power to blackball. Ric Flair and Rick Rude and Dusty Rhodes and Arn Anderson had the ability to blackball. They got the ability to do that shit. Well, look at the ratio of black Americans that was in that ring during that time. Look at the amount of black Americans that's in the ring that's doing that shit today. I mean, that's in the ring doing their thing weekly and successfully as equally as the whites today. And look how many people actually got the power to put them in that position. The ratio is completely off. So my children, just like I, had no. I mean, I had to look at D'Lo Brown like a god. I had to look at the Godfather like a god. I had to look at Farouk like a god. I had to look at Mark Henry like a god. And I got a lot of white folk in different sections that would sit up here and tell me that these people wasn't shit and they had mediocre careers. But those were the people who I, as a child, naturally looked at as a god. I mean, I wasn't even thinking of black man, white man. It was just good to see my people on TV. And then The Rock doing his thing. You know, at that time, I wasn't delineating and shit. That was the first dark skinned man I ever seen going out there and land a smackdown on motherfuckers. And as a matter of fact, that was the first motherfucker to ever go out there and say he was gonna lay the smackdown on motherfuckers, and he motherfucking did that shit. Justice for Sonya Macy, just like that white police officer said that he was gonna shoot Sonya Macy in the face, and he shot her in the face seconds later and killed her. Y'all got to make sure that y'all keep her in y'all prayer, her family in y'all prayers. The system of white supremacy is going to protect him, but, this is going to continue as long as we let it continue. Like I said, the more that we sit up here and play these all lives matter, the more that we spread out our little 13% that we say that we are. The more that we spread our love, we tend to take our love over to Becky over here, because you may be a little tired of Leroy over here. Sneak over here it's a mind fuck. That's why they made the projects. Black people were a project. All of this stuff was planned and designed decades ago, centuries ago, generations ago. But when it come down to professional wrestling, smaller scale for the white supremacy, sometimes we do gotta ask, what's the excuse? If black Americans are some of the most fit people, I mean, I'm pretty sure that you could find black Americans that are in much better shape than what the fuck Riddle was. Than what the fuck Cody Rhodes is. Cody Rhodes, I mean, technically from the wrestlers that I've seen, I'm old school. I was watching wrestling since '95, but I'm a historian too. Why everybody sit up here and act like I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about? I'm a historian of this shit. But my thing is, I don't want to sit up here and idolize. I had to idolize Randy Savage, who was a white supremacist, and Dusty Rhodes, who was a white supremacist. He was not just a white supremacist, but he was just the Joe Biden to your ass because he played to your fucking gimmick. He played to your life. He played to your culture. Wiggling. And we thought that shit was cool because, oh, look, a little fat motherfucker over there doing that shit. That's really what your mama was saying and shit when she was ironing and shit. And shit. But, at the end of the day, he tried to play to your culture, and that's what got over because white folk love that shit. And we like, okay, cool, little white boy did that shit. Like I said, it wasn't on TV every fucking week, so you didn't see Dusty Rhodes every single week, so you couldn't get tired of him like you getting tired of Cody Rhodes right now. That's why wrestling fans wearing they fucking selves out. But y'all sitting over there wearing yourselves out about the wrong shit. I want to see equality for Black Americans in professional wrestling. I want to see, goddamn it, if it's a goddamn roster of 150 whites, why the fuck are there motherfucking 10? Why the fuck are there 5 to 10 foundational Black Americans and only probably less than 5 of them is being used consistently, and probably 1 or 2 at a time is being used correctly? You got Jade Cargill there, now you all of a sudden you just don't know what the fuck to do with Bianca Belair. Look how they just lump black people. If y'all want to get down to that shit, it's expected because Jade Cargill is a Jamaican woman. It's expected for them to face each other. It's expected for them to wrestle each other. It's expected for them to have the show offs of all show offs. So guess what happens when that shit is over? What do you do with Bianca Belair when it's all over? If they feud for a year, if they feud for 2 years, can they make Jade Cargill and fucking Bianca Belair? Can they book them like in a rivalry like they booked John Cena and motherfucking Randy Orton? Can they pull that off? Is they willing to put the money behind it and pull it off? Is they willing to have they ever booked any Black American in that position? It's based off of how you book these people. You're not putting these people in marketable positions. You putting them as fucking jokes. You putting them as stereotypes, and you putting them in the stereotypes with the wrong intentions. You know how you can see a white motherfucker? You can see straight through a white motherfucker. Like how that Cody Rhodes, oh, you invited to the cookout shit. How you could just see straight through that shit. Like when you can sometimes you could just see straight through certain shit. Some motherfuckers can just see straight through. Some motherfuckers just got a handkerchief over their head, and that's why I call them handkerchief heads. But y'all got to sit up here and stop caping for the whites. And you know what? You may disagree. You may want to be, oh, you know what? It's not about color and, and all that other different shit. But you can't be set up here and be mad about my fight for me not wanting to chance my child having an opportunity to look at Cody Rhodes and find out that Cody Rhodes was a racist. See, this is how I bring it back to Cody Rhodes. Now, white folk sit up here and tell me, oh, he's got a Cuban mom. Mind you, as you go through the delineation process, and really, delineation comes from stepping outside too and actually deal with different cultures. A lot of people don't deal with different cultures, so they don't know how. A lot of black people may not even deal with white people, so they don't even know that white people really just. My bad, I got censored right there, but I think y'all get it. But yeah, they. But the fucking oh man, they. But white motherfuckers, man, they will smile in your face, and white folk don't have to naturally be racist toward you because at the end of the day, they got a system, that system of white supremacy and anti-blackness that's going to do all the racism for you. Sure, you can let a couple of niggas come in here, just there, another. Sometimes it work to partner up with certain niggas. But you know what? On top of that, most times they'll let a nigga work for you, but they'll never let a nigga work with you. How many actual interracial business partners are out there? Actual foundational black Americans that's business partnering with whites. I don't have to talk about all the redlining and all the other differences. Like I said, it just get too deep for wrestling right now. But I'm not going to get ready to go that deep. But wrestling with racism is about to sit up here and get real. It's hard to ignore this when we are in so much trouble of losing ourselves as a people. And like I said, as a professional wrestling fan, I would like to see myself being rectified on TV. I want my child to look at a hero as a hero. And I'm talking about on national television. Sure, we could start a brand if foundational black Americans, even whether it's one, I mean, because they would let Master P, but nobody that got money is really trying to dump their shit into a wrestling company. That's the one thing. Nobody that really got money is really trying to dump it into a wrestling company. But if you're talking about equality for an American company, if you're talking about equality for an American company, why is there no foundational black Americans in the position of power in the WWE? The WWE do not hire wrestling fans to do what Mark Carrano is doing right now, which is human resources. They don't hire they don't it's a lot of positions that the WWE have and key positions that WWE have that they give to Jews, or they may give to a Hispanic, or they may give to an Asian here, or a mixed Jamaican here. That's why I say lineage is important. But it's people that's actually this foundational black Americans that's in these fields, and they apply for these positions and they don't receive these positions. They don't get opportunities to move forward within these positions. Vince McMahon never had no foundational black American by his side. And notice I said that these producers are longtime foundational black, excuse me, are longtime wrestlers. They're not just some Hollywood writers. The Hollywood writers are the ones that direct that write where the show is going, where what stories is being told, what direction the story is being told. It's the book. You know, they write the book. The fucking producers is the ones that get you activated. This is what they want to see physically from you. This is exactly what they want to see. This is how they want to see it. This is what they want to do. The producers and the agents, they tell you, they direct you, and then the wrestlers is still the production. They produce the packages, you know, and shit like that. But you know, like I said, there are you telling me that there are nobody able to be a producer that's a foundational Black American? It's not up to me to pick WWE, Triple H. This is up to you. You don't offer these people the job, and then maybe they scared to even ask. I don't know. Maybe did MVP stick around because he wanted a higher position in the WWE? I don't think he mad. I mean, he collected checks for a minute. But don't you think he wanted to be elevated to something else? You elevated Paul Heyman to something else. And MVP was just as entertaining to me as Paul Heyman, and he could have had potential to be better. I'm not taking nothing away from Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman's one of the greatest. Bobby Heenan's one of the greatest. But it's a system of white supremacy. The black managers, the ones that were so far and few, was the slicks who had to manage Akeem. And it's good, okay, integrate them with all these people, but you trying to integrate our culture with creatures and animals. That's pretty much what the fuck Slick had. And culture vultures. They don't do nothing to make our people stand out long lasting. All we could do is perform, and we perform well, but they don't book us to where we could be put in a position to stand out. It's an anti-black system. Right now, Triple H is at the helm of it. And how much longer can we go without y'all, with y'all only having Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins wrestling little tag team matches here without even at least trying to make them contenders and none of that shit? Y'all gotta break them up peacefully or forcefully or do something and figure out a way to repackage them and make them the shit. They got the ability to fucking do whatever it is that you want them to do. You just won't give it to them. Why won't you give Swerve Strickland $5 million, Tony Khan? Is he just a toy for you to diversify your company, for you to get a TV deal, so you could beat the racism claims? Because what type of progression was it for Ron Simmons to get the world title when he was one, never able to become a serious contender again, and two, no other foundational Black American was um, built to created or booked to get to that route. People that could have had the same ability as the Sting. You never know. They never let them get through the door. It's a system of white supremacy and anti-blackness because in boxing, we will beat your motherfucking ass. Historically, in a fight, straight up, in a one-on-one scrap, we will beat your ass. And y'all won't let us whoop your ass. And I don't blame you. But come out here and say something. Don't just sit up here and dismiss us and let us sit up here and get our hopes up. And Swerve Strickland got the championship. Swerve Strickland got the championship, and I'm supposed to hang on to that shit for 8 years of AEW's existence before another Black American world champion is available to be there if AEW make it there. I'm just speaking logically, like, because who's available to be a contender now? What did they do with Keith Lee? Who's available to be a contender now? Where the fuck is Scorpio Sky? I remember white folk was throwing him in my face. They was throwing Hobbs in my face, and they was throwing fucking uh oh man, they throw a lot of motherfucking mixed people in there. The both members of the acclaimed is white, and they don't never take credit for that shit, but they just want to throw their people on us. Like I said, I feel you. I technically don't like the claim, but them as people, I don't have no issues with them as people. But I just mixed people don't represent me. Because if they don't claim they white side, or they'll claim they black side on television. Sure, I ain't black. I ain't mixed with a black. Da, 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 da. I bet you they license say white. Now, a lot of areas they may be discriminated against. Anthony Bowen's got a little dark skin or some shit like that, but whatever. But I tell you what, like I said, it's fucked up in the country to where it's easier for uh, boy to become a girl than it is for a Black American to live in white society and be himself without any issues from the whites. Real issues from the whites. That goes back to what I said, that we are not meant to be together. And to go back to Cody Rhodes, I know I keep skipping from Cody Rhodes, but Cody Rhodes is married to a Black American woman. And white folk keep throwing that in my face. Like that's another Kamala Harris. She was glad to get out the hood, and she went to college, and got fell in love. White, she needed protection. And what made me think about that, I used to feel sorry for Brandy because I really think that they left AEW because of some racial shit. I honestly think it got something to do with race. I think it got something to do with Brandy. And Cody is a white supremacist, and he started AEW, and I don't think that he wanted to leave AEW, but it would look bad for his image and what he was trying to do if he didn't go along with his black American wife. I think that's the first time he regretted marrying her. But y'all got to remember that white folk are infatuated with black American penis and vagina. White folk are. And black Americans got a little infatuation to it. But it's cool to fuck a little white bitch or something, but you just don't have children with these people. Like, what are you doing? They claim you only 13%. But these people stink. They got a natural stink. What if your child stink? And half white all over. They get white tendencies and all that shit. Like, stop mixing your fucking kids. And, so they have a child with a white, and then after that, just everybody just fuck white people after that. Then they just completely forget. Just fuck you, fuck your mama, your daddy, your grandparents, your fucking great grandparents, and all that shit. They not gonna sit up there and celebrate y'all at the family reunions and shit. Do fucking white people have family reunions anyway? They should be full of drama. That's when they be finding out the mama been fucking the son and all that shit. You know, white folk got a lot of shit that be going on, and they sit up here and point fingers at us. They so focused on us, but they not focused on fixing what they calling as a problem. If so much of what we got, what they pointing fingers at us for is a problem for them, then why won't they do something about it? I don't see how it's affecting them anyway. It's just something for them to point fingers at. And it's something for them to misconstrue as well, because we as foundational black Americans know our people. We know our cousins, we know our friends, we know our families. And you know what? One of the reasons why I do wrestling with racism is because I'm sorry, white folk. A lot of people do. I found out that the white folk kind of do that shit too with they nerds and geeks and all that shit. Black Americans tend to shun their people when they nerds and watch wrestling and do all that other different shit. And they do everything what they feel is against the black culture, because at the end of the day, fucking one, wrestling is for kids. It was cool when it was Stone Cold beating ass and all that shit. But wrestling never is gonna really become profitable beyond the WWE, because WWE know how to, they got a machine to do that shit. Roll celebrities out and do all that shit, and plus you gotta watch wrestling here and there and shit. But you never gonna get it as good as we had it with the time that we had it previously. And it's unfortunate that foundational black Americans isn't going to be a part of it. But from this point forward, they should be a part of it, because we are just as American as white folk. The thing is, y'all want to sit up here and tell us that we equal in this country, but when they come down to representation, then when it come down to presentation, it's not a dominance of it. Y'all think that we supposed to just be satisfied. Hey, y'all got the NBA. Hey, y'all got the NFL. Well, goddamn it, I like wrestling too. And it ain't like it ain't no motherfucking, real sport. For some reason, black people don't get into tennis because there are no tennis courts in a lot of black areas. So we have no ties to tennis or certain just different games and shit that y'all play and all that shit, and that's cool. But if we integrate it into wrestling, then motherfucking integrate us in that shit all the motherfucking way like y'all do everybody else. Allow us the opportunity to make some money in that motherfucker. Y'all want to sit up here and advocate for foundational black American wrestlers, then advocate for their pay. Start demanding to see their pay compared to the whites. And if they not gonna pay these motherfuckers based off of the work that, if they not gonna pay these motherfuckers based off of the work that they do, they need to the work that they not going to do, then they need to produce them into a way that they can make the money that they are supposed to make. But you got to bring these motherfuckers in here too. You got to bring Black American writers because Black Americans know how to handle Black Americans. Black Americans, white people, I don't know how many I'm gonna do a poll. How many black people go to Great Clips? How many black people actually get their hair done by white people? Like, and it's good. Like, it's the way that you want it. It's just like even certain the different ethnicities, like tethers, they don't know how to fucking do it like Black Americans know. They want how you describe how you want your shit done. It's gonna be like that. We all got our own special way of doing shit, and that's special about us. And there's nothing wrong with this, especially to when we at a level to where it's WWE SummerSlam. We talking about the second biggest show for the WWE to where everybody was gonna go and flock and watch this shit. Why? I don't know. To me, it's an underwhelming card. It's not a foundational Black American on there. I'm not watching this shit. I'd advise y'all to do the same shit. Uninvest yourself and voice your reasonings. I can't be out here voicing this shit by myself. It is an issue. It's untold amount of Black Americans that can actually get in here and do the shit that need to be done, and they can do it on the same level as all these other Samoans. Black Americans, it's more Samoans in prominent positions than it is foundational Black Americans. And that's what Shelton Benjamin was talking about. Y'all got to remember, Shelton Benjamin was talking about this shit before MVP. MVP low key elaborated on it, and then Bobby Lashley shit is expiring, so now people talking. Ain't no telling if they gonna leave. Ain't no telling if they not. Ain't no telling what's going on. Ain't no telling. I know the AEW not gonna handle them right. I want to keep reminding y'all that Bobby Lashley is not a foundational Black American. He's a Panamanian. He's a Hispanic. But I guarantee you, Tony Khan not gonna know what to do with him. And I don't have no hate for Lashley. I want y'all to understand that Lashley, I believe, have the same potential as Brock Lesnar. He got the exact same potential as Brock Lesnar. And WWE never capitalized on it. And Bobby Lashley came in after Brock Lesnar left. They the same fucking size. They got the same speed. They got the same agility. And they came out and made Bobby Lashley look like a bald-headed pussy. Fucking fiddling around with Vince McMahon and shit. And, they didn't make him like Stone Cold Steve Austin beating Vince McMahon ass. Even though Bobby Lashley won the feud, did he really win the feud? You know what I'm saying? I understand the dynamics of them using their home for the Donald Trump feud, and they had to off that off somehow. And ultimately, that's what he was used for. There were no tangibles for Bobby Lashley. There were no moves to make him progress because after him coming off with an electric, beautiful, what could be called a classic, but get lost in time by 5-star matches and shit, match against Umaga, a match that often get lost in time, the WWE chose not to capitalize on that. Sometime before Bobby Lashley left, this where I got confused. Why did Bobby Lashley leave? Did he get out? I don't know if he got fired or if they let his contract expire the first time or something like that. Because they put him in a John Cena match, and that's another hidden classic at Night of Champions like '07. Go back and watch that match. He gave you a hell of a thrill throughout that match, but they never capitalized on Bobby Lashley. Why couldn't they have Bobby Lashley be the Hulk Hogan type? I think Ric Flair was still around. Why couldn't he throw Ric Flair around? Why couldn't he throw the Hardy Boys around? Why couldn't he throw Eminem around? Why couldn't he throw Shannon Moore and all them motherfuckers around and all that shit? How the black Americans looking at him like, oh, that's a big motherfucker. He cool and shit like that. You know, Brock Lesnar had a soft ass voice, but he put something behind it. They didn't let Bobby Lashley put nothing behind them. I like the way that they presented him when he was almighty, but that was temporary. So they don't never have nothing long lasting. They don't have no tangibles for these black American wrestlers in the WWE, which is, low key, I just want to bypass AEW because I don't think AEW gonna make nothing of itself. But if it does, I'm keeping my foot on Tony Khan neck because he's literally not doing nothing with foundational black Americans either. And if you want to sit up here and tell me that putting the title on Lee Moriarty and putting the title on Athena, and Athena haven't been on TV. Athena is contracted with AEW and haven't wrestled on there in like fucking 6 months, like a year or something. I don't know when the last time the sister wrestled. I have no idea. So y'all want to keep talking about Athena doing a good job. I haven't seen her wrestle. I'm busy. I don't have time to watch wrestling on whatever time Ring of Honor come on, whatever channel it come on and shit. I don't have time to turn it on and watch that shit and try to keep up with all that other different shit and keep up with life and the things that I have to do within life. But it would be cool if I could just sit down on the Wednesday night and see Athena doing what all these white folks say she is doing. It's a victory with no victory. Hold on one second. Look that shit up. It's a victory with no victory. It's a victory that you could talk about, but it's a victory that you can't see. I can't see it. Tell me 10 of Athena matches. Give me 10 of them motherfuckers. If wrestling, y'all just want to be settling for crumbs and stuff like this, maybe y'all don't have children, but I don't want my child to grow up and find out Cody Rhodes was a racist. Thomas Jefferson, got many goddamn partial black ancestors. I don't know. They probably turned white again or something. I don't know. Out here, that don't mean shit. If you truly know how white folk truly are, then it's time to stop trusting these motherfuckers. Now, if they would sit up here and admit that that is the problem, then let our people go. But don't keep sitting up here trying to portray us like buffoons and not pay us correctly, not pay us accordingly, not put us in positions to where we can make money in this business. Black Americans sacrifice their bodies in this business. And they said JR would sit up here and tell James Ross would sit up here and tell your motherfucking ass, oh, the junkyard dog sold out. Brandon, they did just Hulk Hogan and all these other different shit. I bet you he wasn't getting no $1 million paychecks. I bet you he wasn't even getting half or even a quarter of none of that shit. Who's the highest paid foundational black American in the business history? Hey, we could always point to that one guy, Booker T. Maybe we could point to Mark Henry. Is it sustainable wealth? to a business that they gave their life to because they don't have no retirement plan, what can they really pass down to their children that can expand to their children and their children? Black Americans are not given opportunity to build generational wealth. They killed that from us generations ago. These are the people y'all still want y'all to preside over. Y'all worrying about who going what the fuck this, that, and the other. Y'all need to worry about trying to figure out how to get away from these motherfuckers. And we could do it and still stay in our country. The more and more we make all lives matter, the more and more that we pull away from each other. And we losing as a people. As a people. As a people overall. Some would say I do well for myself. To whatever standard anybody could think that well is. But I'm talking about generational wealth. How many of us have opportunities to pass things down to our grandchildren, great grandchildren? How many opportunities did they believe that we had? Now, damn it, we done segregated with y'all for 50 years. We let y'all control the school board. We let y'all control our education. We let y'all control the conditions of the school. We let y'all control everything. Y'all said that this lottery and shit, the government's supposed to put this money in this and build this way and all this other different shit. And y'all put the worst conditioned things in these schools and expect these people, these kids, to just buckle up and do this shit. The school systems know how it is. If certain black people didn't live in certain areas and don't know how certain shit is, then you don't know how certain eggs break sometimes. Certain can't you just can't sit up here and fault. We gotta stop faulting our people. Figure out the root of the fucking problem. But we can't do that without no type of control. We got to get their approval in some type of way. So the police officer killed Sonya Massey. Her son said, I'm usually there to check on her once a day. I didn't make it around this time. She had nobody to call on, so she called the police. And they came in and killed her. The people that's sworn to protect her killed her. A lot of white folk condone her death. They're out there condoning her death. They believe this shit. This is how people believe. And these are the same people that you work with and say, hey, these are the same people who parents, and you may be cool with Tyler and all this shit, and Tyler may not be like that, but Tyler can be like that. And why even waste your time? White folk will allow you to work for them, but they will not work with you to build great wealth. So if you're a pure wrestling fan and just want to watch SummerSlam, go ahead and watch SummerSlam. But advocate for some type of change after this because this is just getting damn ridiculous. What happened? I don't know. I stopped watching NXT because it seemed like they pandered to us with Sexy Red and just like, this is what the system of white supremacy and anti-blackness do. Kamala Harris is Indian and shit. This bitch fucking sitting up here fucking bringing Megan Thee Stallion, and she gonna bring John Legend and all these other motherfuckers and Tyler Perry to speak and all this other. They keep trying to do things to think that just pander to certain people and shit instead of creating actual policy for something tangible for us. crumbs here and crumbs there. I noticed that they said it's a rise in small businesses. What small businesses are you talking about? And who are these black people that you're talking about? Delineation. If a Jamaican could be proud to be Jamaican, then they gonna be proud to be Jamaican. But Big E don't represent me. And if you cooling down with the Jamaican culture and all that shit, then Big E represents you. But you know, there's certain areas that Big E gonna be like, oh, hey, nigga, we are not the same. But I'm about to get ready to wrap it up. In essence, the system of white supremacy must be dismantled. It must be destroyed, and it must be replaced with the system of justice, freedom, equality for all Black Americans. And there are Black Americans that love this business, and that want to progress in this business, but are not given the opportunity. You people, you all see these people, and you know what you could do with them. Then again, if you hired some people that could handle Black Americans, Black Americans are great writers. They can handle white folk too. Put them on your staff. Put a few of them on your staff. Diversify them with Black Americans. White folks sit up here and talk about, oh, diversity doesn't mean black, just black and all that shit. Yeah, true, shit. Y'all gotta mix some Asian, Mexican, Jews, and this, that, and all that shit. Where's the tangibles for Black Americans? And Tony Khan, don't sit up here on your little petty games like Black Americans is toys and try to capitalize on saying, "Oh, we're not racist because Triple H is," because we put the title on a guy that has not won a match since he came to AEW, or at least in a long ass time. And stop the WA. They just need to stop fucking playing with us. They need to stop playing with us. It's time for the equal pay for foundational Black Americans. It's time for equal pay for foundational Black Americans all across the board, not just in AEW. I want to know, is fucking Bianca Belair getting paid just as much or more than fucking Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair, because she got the ability to do any of that shit that the fuck they doing, and she the one that's holding it down right now, especially when they growing on these grueling ass overseas tours. She's put in a position to make money. Jade Cargill is put in a position to make money. How many white women are put in a position to make money in the WWE right now? Compare that to foundational Black American women. Hey, Montez Ford and what's his face? Angelo Dawkins, my dog, may get an extra $500 to $1,000 to do, SmackDown extra, to do a SmackDown, and they don't get no opportunity to do no pay per view and shit. It's their percentage is the same when it come down to merchandise. These are things that we need to look into. I know there is no foundational Black American that is in a position of true actual power. in the WWE to make these things happen. Triple H, you got to do something. And I'm talking about beyond Trick Williams and Javon Evans. Find them, find some black writers, and go to work for our brothers and sisters. TKO and Endeavor, y'all got to figure something out. Y'all got to diversify at least the WWE. Y'all handle y'all other business there and shit. Yeah, that's not my fight. Hold on. Go see about Christian. See, ex Christian. Trying to think. Tony Khan don't want to put nobody in a power position, get nobody in the writing staff. Everybody say this Will Washington cat is a writer for AEW, or but no black American has progressed since he became writer or none of that shit. Y'all got to remember Swerve Strickland was floating around before that match with Hangman, Adam Page and shit. That white folk just see. I told you a nigger could have a feud with a white man. Put the title on him. And title Tony Khan like, well, I ain't got some racial allegations on me. Stop trying to use us. Tony Khan needs to stop trying to use us as poppet dolls and toys to beat Triple H and to beat the WWE and to beat the culture. You understand what I'm saying? That shit gotta end. So it gotta be something sincere and it's gotta be something genuine. And obviously Triple H don't see it that way. Triple H is the one that got creative control. So WWE need to choose next wisely who gonna be their people because Triple H is working a very stressful job. Triple H also had a heart attack, and I think he got some shit in his heart and shit. And, he probably do coke and all that shit. He do a lot of traveling and shit. People good at concealing that shit. Who's drug testing Triple H in 2024? Triple H is the Janelle Grant of the WWE. He's just a creative person, so his position not gonna last all the time. And if we as foundational Black Americans stump and point these obvious flaws out collectively and loudly at these shows every time that we see these people in person. We let them know, slipping in their ear, slipping in Tiffany Stratton ear. I bet you she gonna go back there and tell Jerry Briscoe, like, you know what this nigger just said to me? He said the Black Americans need to be, and I didn't hear him. All I heard he was out to rape me. Like what, bitch? So sometimes you got to be careful what white bitch you talk about. You know what I'm saying? White people, that's what I'm saying. White women is like oh man, they would get you killed for real on some old just because shit, just to free their name. Like and you just walk past. Like, ain't that a bitch? Yeah, it's been like that. It's in their blood, and it wasn't that long ago, and it still happens to this day. So anyway, that all that stuff has to end today. And there's got to be some tangibles, or else, like, just tell us that y'all don't give a fuck about us. But don't book us. And, for image. A lot of this stuff is for image. They're not going to call you nigger to their face because they still want to continue their $1 billion business. But there's nothing wrong with Black Americans advocating for something more meaningful. I mean, it's been a while since I seen a foundational black American man wrestle on pay-per-view. Besides WrestleMania and the Royal Rumble. And I'm not about to pay for AEW pay-per-view or waste my time streaming and none of that shit. Because just to see Swerve Strickland get sympathy runs. I forgot about that. After Swerve Strickland got the belt taken out of his hand twice, a black man, a foundational black American, black man, got the belt taken off of him, out of his hand by a white man. Foundational black Americans know that you don't strip nothing out of a black man's hand. Never. Like, what the fuck are you doing? And he did it twice, and Swerve let that happen. And came back, you're lucky. Oh my God, you know what? Oh fuck. I just know I'm gonna beat you in that match. And then they had the fucking match. When they had the match, he fucking won. Okay, continue this shit. Come to find out, kayfabe,